Diversity, inclusivity, multi-ethnic, multiracial, multicultural. These are values that our society today is placing a very high importance on. But the church isn't always looked at as a leading voice in these areas, is it? No, in fact, unfortunately, the church is often looked at as insulary, exclusionary, and in many cases, monochromatic. And I can understand the criticism. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. once said that the most segregated hour in America is Sunday morning. And while over the last 60 years there have been many strides to address that and fix that, we know that there is a lot of work to be done. I recall a story from a pastor friend of mine who was assigned to an inner city church early on in his ministry. And he went, one of the first things he did was he went around and he just wanted to knock on the doors in the neighborhood and invite people to church and just kind of canvass the area around. And he told me the story about the first door that he knocked on, the house that was just across the street from the church. An African-American man answered the door. And the pastor said, "Hi, I am from that church right there, and I was just wondering if you would like to join us this Sunday morning." The man looked at him and said, "Well, I've never been invited before, so I just always assumed that that was a white church." So I can understand where the criticism comes from. Thankfully, God has blessed that ministry, and now the people that worship inside that church are representative of the neighborhood around it. But we know that there's a lot of work to be done. And yet, you can understand where the criticism might come in. But what if I told you that the church, the capital C Christian church throughout the world, is actually the most diverse, most inclusive, most multiracial, multi-ethnic, multicultural movement in the history of the world? See, there's this light bulb moment that we need to have and that our society needs to have to realize that the church is truly where diversity is embraced, where people are loved, where people from all sorts of different cultures are cared for and appreciated. Certainly more than most other religions in the world, every other major religion is more ethnic-based than Christianity is. If you think about Islam or Judaism or Buddhism or Latter-day Saints, all of them, whether purposely or not, are made up almost entirely of one ethnic group or based in one region of the globe. Christianity, on the other hand, has roughly equal number of adherents in Europe and North America and South America and Africa and a quickly growing church in Asia. The church is far more diverse than you might realize. In fact, right now, if you lined up all the Christians in the world, the whole church of God, single file, and you said men on this side and women on this side, and line up all the way across the globe, and you pointed to the person in the middle, it would be a woman. And if you took that same line and you rearranged them and you said, okay, Caucasians on this side and people of color on this side, and again, you pointed at the person in the middle, she would be a person of color. The church is not for one group, one ethnicity, one culture. The church is truly where all are invited and welcomed and loved.